we need to talk about the biggest upset in NHL history. So, going into this series, I don't think anyone could have predicted the Boston Bruins were losing in the first round. Even myself, I did not expect the Bruins to lose in the first round. Cue the clip from my bracket challenge video.
But I don't think this Boston team is losing in the first round. We could see Florida putting up a great fight, but I'm taking Boston in 7.
Even Matthew Tkachuk, he said everyone in the world didn't think they had a chance except those guys in that locker room. And I mean, he was right. It's crazy that these two teams were so different going into this series. The best NHL team on paper, right? Most wins, most points. And the Florida Panthers, they were struggling off the rip. It didn't look like they were making the playoffs. They just got into the playoffs on their last week of the season. And they just upset the Boston Bruins. Insane. So the Bruins had 135 points, and the Florida Panthers had 92 points coming into this playoff. That is a 43-point difference, and that's what makes this the biggest upset in NHL history is just the margin between the two teams' points. No team has ever done that with that big of a gap. So, congrats to the Florida Panthers. We need to go over the players and how they did it. So, for the Florida Panthers, their top point getter, who else? Matthew Tkachuk. 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points. And me as a fan who just likes to watch the Panthers, they're my second favorite team after the Chicago Blackhawks. It was just awesome to really see this. I texted my friend throughout Game 7. I knew they were tying it. I just knew they were tying it because they did that all last season, and they were doing it towards the end of the season. So Matthew Tkachuk went crazy. Really had to see it. Brandon Montour. Wow. Brandon Montour as a defenseman, 5 goals. He had 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points. 5 goals as a defenseman is insane. Monty, he clutched up. He got the tying goal in Game 7. He got them on the board in Game 6. He just had a fantastic year. What else can you say about Brandon Montour? And then Carter Verhaeghe, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points, and his most important goal, obviously, is that Game 7 overtime winner. It's crazy how good Carter Verhaeghe has been for the Florida Panthers. He got the overtime goal in Game 6 against the Capitals last year, so he's just Mr. Clutch in overtime to clinch a series. And we also got to talk about Sergei Bobrovsky. He went 3-1, but had an 891 save percentage, which is obviously not good stats wise, but he kept them in the game at every time. And you just think about in Game 5 where Brad Marchand had the breakaway with less than 3 seconds. He could, if he scored, Panthers are done right there. But Bobrovsky makes the save, keeps them alive, and he just battled. He battled all the way till the end. He did give up some goals, but he kept them in the game. So Sergei Bobrovsky, good job. I want to shout out Alex Lyon as well because I mean he played fantastic towards the end of the regular season, got the Panthers to where they are. He had a good game 1. He gave up some bad goals, so he got pulled, and Bobrovsky just took over the net from there. Now we got to go over to the Boston Bruins. Their 3 top point getters were Brad Marchand, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Taylor Hall. Brad Marchand, 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points. So Brad Marchand, he was doing his thing. He's a playoff performer, as we know, so he did all he could, honestly. Tyler Bertuzzi, what a great acquisition. Tyler Bertuzzi in his first Stanley Cup playoff appearance, and he popped off. In my eyes, if the Boston Bruins went all the way and won the Stanley Cup, I think Tyler Bertuzzi could have been a Conn Smythe winner. And that's just because he got clutch goals, and I mean, look at his points, 10 points in 7 games. That was crazy. So I like Tyler Bertuzzi's game. It's unfortunate he got knocked out in the first round of his first Stanley Cup playoff appearance, but I think there's more to come for him. Also, Taylor Hall, 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. And Taylor Hall was the guy at the beginning of the series. He was getting all the momentum shifting goals, breakaway goals, like he just put the puck in the back of the net and he was doing really good. He still contributed towards the end of the series. Like he even got some clutch goals there too, but it was towards the beginning of the series where I was like, man, watch out for Taylor Hall. I also want to shout out guys like Dmitry Orlov and David Pastrnak. And even though David Pastrnak isn't in the top 3 for the Bruins in points, he had 5 goals in 7 games. He showed up when the time mattered, but not throughout the whole series. And Dmitry Orlov, he had 8 assists. Who knew Dmitry Orlov was so offensively gifted? When he was in Washington, I thought of him as only a defensive defenseman. I mean, for good reason, right? But Dmitry Orlov stepped up his game as soon as he came to Boston, so good for Dimitri. Unfortunate they had to fall. We gotta talk about goaltending. Linus Ullmark, the most likely Vezina Trophy winner. He went 3-3 this series and an 896 save percentage. And I think he played through injury. It didn't seem like he was 100%, and he did give up some bad goals. He just didn't look like the leanest from the regular season. And then Jeremy Swayman, he only started one game, but he came in for relief in another. He had an 875 save percentage, but he made 28 saves on 32 shots. I mean, that's only 4 goals allowed. So, I mean, Jeremy Swayman, he played good. He didn't play good enough in Game 7. He got snipped a couple times. Who knows what could have happened if Jim Montgomery put him in earlier in the series. I guess we'll never know. But Jeremy Swayman, he was not the reason for the Bruins losing. And yeah, that's basically it. I just want to go over this insane comeback and upset from the Florida Panthers. Like I said in my bracket challenge, I did not see the Boston Bruins losing in round one. I had the Bruins going to the Stanley Cup final. Even though they would lose to Edmonton in my bracket, I had them going to the final because I thought they would be that good. But you could see just throughout the series, they kind of just lost touch. That's the way the President Trophy curse works. Let me know who wins between Florida and Toronto now. That's the next series in this Atlantic Division for round two. Should be a great series as well. Let me know who you got in the comments, and thank you guys.